the Auburn Blitz Podcast, your direct source for all Auburn all the time with Brett Pritchard, Faith Richardson, and Randy Lee.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into the Auburn Blitz Podcast here on a Friday morning. We are so glad that you join us each and every day here on the Auburn Blitz and making Auburn Blitz part of your daily Auburn athletic intake, wherever and whenever it is that you tune us in. And we're so proud to have Glenda Mitchell Law Firm as our presenting partner here on everything Auburn Blitz. And again, we'll talk more about Glenda as the show rolls along. But it's Brett and Faith here with you on a Friday, and a ton to talk about. Sorry, we're a little bit behind, but hey, look, good things come to those who wait, right? We just try to keep you guys. And we appreciate y'all already beating us to the punch here and waiting for us to get here every morning. So thank you so much for that. Good morning, Faith. Good to see you.
Good morning. Good to see you too.
Yeah, I think a little bit of a rejuvenation for us yesterday. We actually didn't have to travel anywhere for a change. So it was really, really nice to kind of catch up on some things that we needed to catch up on around here, but we have a lot to talk about this morning. Auburn's quarterback room is very strong, maybe stronger than people thought originally. Everybody knew that Byron Brown coming in, but hey, maybe the other pieces are better than advertised. Not to say that we all knew what the guys were going to be able to do coming in, but hey, there's some publications and some recruiting services that feel very highly about this room. One position not to worry about, and I love to think that you and I've kind of been on this one since day one, and we've been telling everybody about this, and all you got to do is go back and watch our previous podcast and go sort through all 800 million of those to find where we've talked about this, and we're going to talk about it some more. And then basketball making a major move, maybe when the off season comes, and it's needed probably. So we're going to dive into that and maybe a few other things that we have lingering around if we get time. But also we want to remind everybody we'll be on location at noon at Lake Martin Pizza in Dayville. So whatever we don't get to this morning, we're just going to carry that over to
we'll
lunch.
Have plenty to talk about at lunch.
Way more than
give it all away here. So
you gotta keep you coming back for more. So you can comment away over there. We'll take those as we move through the show. But first things first, we've all been jacked up about this quarterback room. And after the portal closed and knowing what we knew about Alex Golish and Byron Brown, it was a must. We all kind of were on the edge of our seat until it actually happened. But now this kind of solidifies why it was so important, Faith, for Auburn to land Byron Brown. That's not the shocking part of this list that came out, by the way, with On3 yesterday. The top QB commits in the transfer portal, and Auburn has 2 in the top 10. That's what really kind of raised eyebrows.
Yeah, that was a big shock, I think, for a lot of people because, you knew Byron Brown was going to be up there, but Tristan Tia also being up there was something that probably wasn't on a lot of people's bingo card when you were thinking about who is going to be on that list. The Oregon State transfer. I mean, the thing that on this list, when you look through and you see a lot of guys that hadn't played very many games, specifically one that we all know. But, he had 385 yards last year, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, 37 completed passes.
Right.
Played in 3 games.
Right.
So you don't have much on him the way you do Byron Brown or some of the other guys on this list. You don't have a big resume that comes with them. So having those 3 games and those numbers from him, I mean, that tells you.
What's the difference in him and Deuce Knight right now? I mean, I know Deuce Knight
being 4, having played 1 game, which he had a great game, don't get me wrong, but he didn't start for Auburn at all last year when we had the quarterback room we did last year.
Yeah.
That is something to take note of.
It is something to take note of. And also, part of this list, and we're going to go through this list for everybody that maybe hasn't seen that yet or heard about this list. And again, this is one recruiting service list. And look, this is the time of year where everything gets ranked. I mean, you can't rank anything enough more than this time of year. Every position gets ranked, every helmet in the college football, who's got the best helmet, who's got the best uniform. We're gonna list everything. We're not here, but everybody tries to come up with all these lists to fill content. This is a legit one though, and that's why we wanted to talk about it. Sam Leavitt's at the top of the list, the transfer from Arizona State, and rightfully so. He's got playoff experience. He led Arizona State 2 years ago to the playoffs. But when I look down through here, there's a couple of guys on here that aren't going to play this year, maybe more than that. So, obviously Byron Brown is going to come in and start. And Tristan Tia, yeah, you can say he's not going to play any either, and you hope he doesn't because you won't Byron, unless it's in cleanup duty. You hope you're up big and Tristan Tia is getting in on that. But but they're in different classes. Okay, like Tristan Tia is coming in after a freshman year, going into sophomore year. This is Byron Brown's last year. This legitimately may be Alex Golish and this offensive staff going, hey, man, we targeted him as our true number 2. He's a guy that we think if he can get in here and learn this offense this year, he's going to have the leg up going into next year as our starting quarterback. Now, does that mean you don't go out and get somebody? No, it doesn't. But there may be some method to the madness here. They just didn't randomly go, hey, let's go across the country and grab this guy that had 3 games under his belt. They see something in him that makes them go, that's the future. Maybe that's how they sold it to him. And they said, yes, we know you got tons of potential. Yes, Byron Brown's coming here. We're letting you know that up front. But this isn't about you this year. This is about you for the future of us in this offense. I truly think there's something to that.
Right. I mean, you think about Lachlan Hewlett, who also is coming from South Florida, who has run this offense that these guys are bringing from South Florida and has learned under Byron Brown before. And he's not on this list, which, because of his past experience with these coaches and with Byron Brown and some of the players on this team, you would think maybe we've talked about how that's a big asset coming to Auburn.
Right.
But you look at Tristan Tia and his name is the one on this list that says, all right, well, maybe he's the one that is going to be able to, take over and already have the upper hand, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I would have thought that Lachlan Hewlett would have had the upper hand just because he knows these coaches in this system and everything more.
Right. And so, so then I flip over and there's another. So Auburn's got 2 of the top 10. LSU has 3. All right, what is Husan Longstreet thinking? And Landon Clark, he's a freshman. He started for Elon College, by the way, and had a good year. Okay, but it's at Elon. He threw for 2,300 yards and 18 touchdowns as a freshman. He's a smaller guy, 6 foot, 186 pounds. So, there may be a different bill of goods sold there and say, hey, you want to come have an opportunity to play in the SEC? Here you go. He may not even end up playing quarterback at LSU. He may end up switching, but he transfers. But what is Husan Longstreet transferring from Southern Cal to LSU thinking? And what is LSU thinking? Are they paying this guy to sit on the bench that much? Because now here's the caveat, and I told you this weeks ago. Sam Leavitt's got a foot injury. Okay, and everybody watching this goes, well, maybe Byron Brown is suspect injury because he missed a majority of the 24 season with an injury. Well, true. But Sam Leavitt actively has a foot injury right now. And it's one of those that, man, I'm telling you, can be one that you don't get over. Now, I think they probably feel like he's going to recover and all that, but it's literally one of those where you could go right out there the first game and do something weird and it'd be completely back to it'd be a mess. for lack of better terms, and you be out for the year. So maybe that's what Husan Longstreet's thinking, or maybe he's coming in thinking, hey, I can beat him out. Anyway, my point is LSU's got 3 guys on this list. And, I know Randy always brings up the term dead money. Well, you want to talk about spending some dead money. I mean, 2 of those guys, whatever combination, aren't going to play this year.
Put a sack of cash on the bench and leave it there.
That's it. I mean, and that's really kind of, but is LSU looking at this thing going, we don't really have a budget. We're just going to go spend whatever we got to do. And
yes.
And so they pushed we said this too, like Texas and LSU, they've pushed all their chips to the middle of the table this year. They're wanting to win this year. We've gone through the schedules for both LSU and Texas. It's not easy. I mean, nobody has an easy schedule in the SEC, but when you double down, Auburn, I'm not scoffing at Auburn paying $30 million for a roster, but these programs are spending upwards of 50. And they're going, hey, LSU's administration and their fans are like, no, we're tired of this. We need you to win this year. And then the circus that Lane Kiffin has brought to town and how that went on. And then with all this roster, and then the same with Sarkisian out in Texas. The word on the street about the blank check that was given to Cam Coleman to come to Texas, it has gotten out now. And I don't think anybody's surprised by that, but they've gone out and gotten, 2 of the best running backs, Cam Coleman, all these other guys to go with Arch Manning, and Sarkisian's like, well, Cam Coleman came here because he wanted to play in a true pro-style offense and blah, blah. And that's fine, and I get it. And is Texas more poised to be successful this year than Auburn? Yes, based on paper, it is. Will they be more successful based on their schedule? Time will tell. I can tell you who's under a lot more pressure is that if Steve Sarkisian doesn't come through with the roster he has, it may be bye-bye Steve Sarkisian, because what has he really done since he's gotten to Texas?
Spent a lot of money with not the outcome that they want over there.
I mean, I know Auburn hasn't put any trophies in the case in so long, but what has Texas put in their trophy case? I mean, and again, Lane Kiffin, he bumped Ole Miss up to a level they really haven't been to before, but now he leaves that where, look, he could have stayed at Ole Miss, Faith, and been king forever. I mean, seriously. But now he's in a different boiling pot of water. It's all great and wonderful when they're all clamoring.
They could have gone and made a statue of Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss. I'll tell you that right now, the way that everybody loved him over there.
True. So I'm just saying, and not that there's any different any other year, but the pressure's on. And, the pressure's on at Auburn. I mean, you go out and you're tired of flopping coaches and, as you say all the time, ring around the rosy with quarterbacks and ring around the rosy with coaches every 2 or 3 years. So it's time for some consistency at Auburn too. But the rest of this list, so we've named Sam Leavitt, number 1, Byron Brown 2, Longstreet 3, Deuce Knight. Now, again, based on potential, but Deuce Knight's not playing this year. He ain't playing. So, I mean, and then Austin Simmons, the reason he got the heck out of Dodge at Ole Miss and is going to go to Missouri is because he knew that he wasn't going to play.
And Austin Simmons was supposed to be their starting quarterback until he got hurt and Trinidad came in there and cleaned up what he couldn't do. And so Austin Simmons, I mean, he fully had a shot, but knew.
I'm sitting here looking at all these quarterbacks thinking, I'm envisioning a bunch of guys sitting around a poker table with hands of cards, and they're going, Deuce Knight has his hand going, Trinidad ain't coming back. He ain't going to get cleared. I'm leaving to go to Ole Miss. He's got his cards, and then all of a sudden he gets the waiver, and so he busts. His hand is trash. And then Husan Longstreet is like, I'm going to be at LSU. I'm going to be at LSU. They're not going to go get anybody else. And then Sam Leavitt enters the room, and it's like, that way. And then you can go down this list and look at all of these quarterbacks and say there were a lot of them. Some are winning and some are having to fold. And so are they going to be able to get, and where are they going to go next year is the question. I mean, I don't know what LSU's plans are for Landon Clark, but again, I don't really foresee him being the quarterback anytime soon at LSU. But again, some made very calculated good moves, Byron Brown, Austin Simmons, and others now are sitting there going, maybe I shouldn't have done that. We'll see. It's going to be interesting. Aaron Philo from Georgia Tech to Florida. I mean, Aaron Philo didn't get much. I mean, what did he do last year? I mean, he was behind Haynes King. Again, a lot of this list is based off potential. The good thing about Sam Leavitt and Byron Brown being at the top is what, Faith? They're proven.
Mm-hmm. The resume that they're bringing.
And I think that's kind of what separates them. And I'll say this, like I said to you the other day, finally Auburn went out and got a guy. Now, again, how did they get him? The connection with Alex Golis. Let's not kid ourselves. Let's not try to act like whoever would have been the coach, if Hugh Freeze would have still been here, could he have gotten Byron Brown? Absolutely not. That was not going to happen. But sometimes you're the benefactor of a situation. And Auburn is the benefactor here by going out and hiring Alex Golis. And now he just happened to be coaching one of the best quarterbacks in the country. And he convinced him to come play his last year of college football at Auburn. And finally, Auburn's going to get a guy that's based on results, not based on what he could do.
This is the difference between the coaching staffs that we've had.
There's no doubt. So, all right, let's look at some of the comments over here because we got a bunch coming in. Mr. Albee said, I really think the staff has a plan better than the last two. Well, God, I hope so. I mean, all I can say is, yes, it does right now seem a lot more organized and a lot more calculated. Yeah, I'm with you, Bama Willie. What is Longstreet thinking? I don't know. I mean, you're just literally, I mean, maybe you're gambling that Leavitt's going to get hurt. I don't know. I'm not saying that's what he's thinking, but I don't know that he's beating him out, especially with the price tag that LSU put on Sam Leavitt. Okay, that's another thing. I'm not saying they paid Longstreet chump change either, because to be up there, they had to pay him. All right, when the homeschool isn't recruiting a kid in their backyard, there's a reason. Same with their top player in Alabama, according to rivals, Akeem from Dothan. Neither UA or AU are recruiting. Mr. Albee said, my thing also is why is an LSU all over Elijah Haven? And that's kind of what Bama Willie's saying. Sometimes, I mean, it just happens. I mean, how many has Auburn lost out of their backyard? How many has Alabama lost out of their backyard? I mean, we can go and pull guys that went to school at Central Tuscaloosa and Tuscaloosa County, and Auburn can pull guys that went to Phoenix City and Eufaula and Auburn, and they didn't end up, at the school right up the road. Some guys want to get away, and then sometimes schools maybe aren't on them for whatever particular reason. So,
and it doesn't even matter if you get them right out of high school anyway, they're probably going to transfer.
True. Absolutely. Ed said, Kiffin is thinking in this conference, I'm not about to let a QB injury ruin my season. Praying Brown doesn't get hurt, especially if we're having a good year. Yeah, I mean, if that's the strategy and you got the money and got the unlimited budget and you can convince a guy that, because I would think if I'm Husan Longstreet, I'm not coming somewhere to sit on a bench. I mean, he's got a lot of potential, I would think. And so, yeah, money, but then when you get into the season, things start creeping in and going, well, I'm better than him. Maybe he didn't play real well, and you start getting that going. So you got to think about the egos, too, that come with this thing, especially at the quarterback position.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking here, of course, is you go and just talking about spending money, but you go and you bring in guys at all these different positions that think they're going to run the show because they ran it somewhere else. and you look and see how well they gel and they mesh with the rest of this team.
I mean, I think that's the key thing out all this, Faith, is how you manage these egos. I mean, you go pay a guy a bunch of money, and then now you stick him in a room with some other guys you're paying a bunch of money, and they're all going, I ain't second fiddle to anybody. And it's how you manage that is going to determine how successful probably your program is.
And that's exactly why I've said since day one that I really like the way Alex Golish is operating this team by, do you want to play? Do you want to be here? Do you know how much of an honor it is to be here? Because I'm not deserving that I get you. You are honored to be on this team and play in the SEC. So do you want to play, or are you just here for money?
And Mr. Albee said Kiffin just getting to the playoffs not going to be good enough for those folks. It might be the first year. If he misses the playoffs the first year, there just watch. Like, things unravel at LSU faster than anything. Like, you think you've got this ball of yarn and it's all tight and woven together, that thing will fall apart. They leave a game faster than any fan base that I've ever seen. Like, their whole stadium will be vacated within the second quarter if things aren't going the way they want it to go. I mean, we've all seen it. It's amazing. Like, they can hop off a bandwagon faster than any freaking fan base in the country. So
he didn't like Ole Miss's stadium being empty by the fourth quarter. What happens when he?
Well, it'll be empty for a different reason. It'll be empty because if they're not coming up with the results they want, they're gonna get the heck out of there. He was mad, obviously.
They were winning, and they were leaving.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it'll be empty for a different reason for him at LSU. And look, heavy is the crown that you wear down there. Ask Nick Saban when he lost to UAB down there at LSU what happened. I mean, how quickly they go, oh, really? And so it's a different world in Baton Rouge. I can tell you that. There's pressure at all these places, but you know, the honeymoon will end quickly if things don't go quite the way everybody wants them to go. All right, let's talk about some of our partners here on the program. Still got a lot to talk about this morning, but definitely interesting to know that Auburn's got two of the top 10 quarterbacks coming in out of the transfer portal, and we know one definitely warranted of the ranking he got, and that's Byron Brown.
Cincy Green for air that's cool and clean. Call on Cincy Green. It was so cold last week. Now it's about to be cool outside, or pretty warm, kind of. So, I mean,
you don't know what it's going to be, really. I mean, you just never know.
But you want a carrier unit installed by Cincy Green, the most reliable unit that you're going to be able to find. And Cincy Green is going to save you hundreds of dollars. So important. I see them driving around all the time here in the Auburn, Opelika area. I know they go all the way up to the Lake Martin area. So make sure you call on Cincy Green for all of your heating, cooling, HVAC needs.
All that stuff. Scout Program Management, you need to call on them. If you got a major project that you're planning with your business, municipality, education, institution, whether it's a college or a high school or school system, they manage those projects. They come in and basically say, hey, let us take control of this. And that's why you hire them, because they're on site every day, making sure everything's done to the specifications that you are expecting. So they're located in Birmingham, in Alabama, but they cover the entire Southeast. So check them out, scoutpm.com, online. Like, some of the best people on the planet. Like, seriously. I mean, I know we say that about and we say that about all of our people. But like Sloan and Jay and Charles, man, they are the best in the business at everything. So that's why you choose them. Check them out.
Bunkers in downtown Auburn. Yesterday was Thursday, so that means they had line dancing, and oh my gosh, the pictures, the videos, everything from that looks like it's so much fun. I feel like I missed out, but it's Friday, so that means there's going to be a huge line at Bunkers. So make sure you get on Line Leap and go ahead and get that cover so that you don't have to wait in all the lines and do all that kind of stuff. And I mean, there's going to be 2 different stages full of live music, so much good food and fun, and great happy hour deals on drinks, everything. So head to Bunkers in downtown Auburn.
And how much has that place grown? I mean, they got a crawfish boil coming up Friday, March the 20th through the 22nd, actually the entire weekend. They'll be going on. And I mean, just unreal. $25 for a crawfish plate, $25 for a shrimp plate, $27 for both. They got live music and DJs all weekend. First 100 get a T-shirt on Saturday, and then the first 100 get a T-shirt on Saturday. It'll be gone fast. You need to make plans for that March 20th through the 22nd at Bunkers. Just a awesome place to be. We'll get to some more of our partners here in just a little bit. When is the Golish on the front row interview? I see some outlets already have a 45-minute interview with him. We'll get him. Bama Willie, we didn't sprint to his office, and we're going to try to let him kind of get, maybe after spring would be a good time to sit down with not only Coach Golish and maybe some other of these coaches. We got a lot of things that we plan, but Faith's got some other cool interviews that are going to be coming up as well that we're not going to let out of the bag yet. You just have to wait and see. I'm really excited about a couple of them. But yeah, we definitely would love to sit down with Coach Golish and talk to him, and we're going to get our shot. We're looking forward to it. And we're going to talk about this basketball thing here, Faith, in a little bit that Mr. Albee brings up about the GM. We'll save that for the last part of the show. But I want to keep with the theme of football. In one position, again, people can go back and listen and watch and whatever. The position you and I have been talking about that we're so high on is this safety position. I mean, this safety position is slap loaded. And when you look at it, you and I said, can you get Anquan Fagans and Eric Winters to not get in the portal? That's kind of where we started. Not dismissing Champ Anthony or Caleb Harris, obviously, and Sylvester Smith, who are studs, but you and I kind of were watching what Anquan Fagans and Eric Winters did, because they were all bought into Auburn, and you were like, if they get in the portal, that's going to be a blow, especially after DJ Durkin announced he was going to stay on this staff, or Alex Golish announced he was going to keep him on the staff. You just wanted to watch and see, and they both decided to stay. And I think that was the anchor that made this room, and it gave it the strength. Now, again, there's other guys in this room, Caleb Harris, Sylvester Smith, I just named, but they are the two that you and I were really eyeballing.
Yeah, so because of Anquan Fagans and Eric Winters being so young and having these older vet guys coming back to play again, it was kind of one of those things that you and I said, hey, it's going to really suck if they leave, because obviously they're learning from some of the best, but they're not going to get the significant amount of playing time that they could somewhere else, because that's how good they are. So it was back and forth of, okay, do we think they're going to stay? They end up saying that they're going to stay, and it's adding the depth to this room of you're not losing anything when they're coming in, and they're getting, and I think they're going to get significant playing times this year. Hopefully everyone is going to stay healthy again this year. I mean, Champ Anthony has just really had it through.
Man,
the last
just have
couple
one
years.
season, please, that he doesn't have something happen. I feel terrible for him, because there's not a guy more tried and true Auburn than Champ Anthony, and we saw it in that post-game interview that day. It almost brought you to tears. And it was
so sad.
But he's like, man, he's like, I know we're not having the season that any of us want to have, but he says, man, I get to play football at Auburn University. I get to play in the SEC. He said, it don't get any better than this. And it just, the perspective that he put on it, that you stop and go, man, it is so good to see that there's still a lot of these kids that are grateful for opportunities, man. And it ain't just all about how much you're going to pay me. And that's Champ Anthony.
Yeah, there's no question about it. And, Sylvester Smith, his freshman year, when he had to come in and take over from Champ Anthony's injury, and he was just thrown right into the fire right at the gate. And he had a amazing year last year. I mean, I was really, really proud of how well he did, and I talked to him at one point, um, I think 2 years ago, right after Champ Anthony's injury 2
Right.
years ago, and, I did a pregame something for him, and I mean, Sylvester Smith is just one of those guys who he's so hungry to keep working and keep going out there and get better and better, and because he was thrown into such an important role, but also such a mess, 2 years ago that he was ready to make some sort of difference, and you could see the difference just between last year and the year before and how much he's grown and his mental has really evolved and changed. I mean, he's had a great career at Auburn this far, and he's gonna be, again, just a huge asset of him staying and the way that he's gonna be able to just progress more and more.
You said something, looking at that room last year and how deep our secondary was last year, he was kind of a guy that got mentioned at the end. He
Mhm.
wasn't one of those that was the first guy that you talked about. And so he went out and proved to everybody this past year. He's like, you ain't keeping me off the field. You can talk about all these other guys, but I'm gonna play my way onto the field. And he did. And like he was one of the biggest thumpers we had on the field last year, and just a tremendous asset there. That, again, not saying it was a diamond in the rough, but it was one of those guys where you were like, really weren't thinking he was going to be the player he ended up being. And so now, with another year under his belt, he's going to be a leader back there along with Caleb Harris. And then I see where Mr. Albee said Caleb Harris did kind of maybe fall off a little bit last year based on expectations. But, man, sometimes you kind of hit a little slump. And I think all of the potential's there for him. So with those three guys coming back, and then New Boy Fagans and Eric Winters, who really worked his way in, and then Jacoby Matthews transferring. He was a 5-star coming out of high school when he was at
Mhm.
Texas A&M. So we'll see how that happens and what happens with him. But then you got some tremendous newcomers, Faith.
Yeah, Shadrack Tootle, we talked about him,
Yes.
obviously. Wayne Henry, DeMonte Tab, Jack Luttrell, Fred Gatskin. I mean, we've talked about just some of these guys a little bit,
Yeah.
but again, the way that they have the potential to be these big assets to the depth, but also learning behind some of these guys is big.
Yeah. Wayne Henry, watching him this year, his film, and then the pipeline from Maryland, from that high school there. Just I'm expecting Wayne Henry to push this year. I really am. DeMonte Tab, excited about that. Jack Luttrell, he's got a history. I mean, he started at Tennessee and ends up at Arizona, and comes out and Shadrack's Shadarius' brother. There's just a lot of opportunity here in this safety room. That's one that, again, you may be worried about some other positions. I don't think Auburn has anything to worry about there because of the depth in this room.
Mr. Albee saying Fagans is rocking 3 this year and Winners number 4 on the message
Yeah.
board. We've talked about Chris Murray and
Yes.
whether or not what's gonna happen there,
Is that
and
that foreshadowing there?
yeah, does that mean he's not?
I
'Cause
mean,
he
he's
was number
out.
3.
Yeah, I know it. And so we'll see. I mean, if he does come back, maybe he gets another number. Maybe Chris Murray wants another number. I don't know. So we'll just kind of stay. Hey, look, again, the paper roster is never going to be more important for us walking in the
Yeah.
building for spring football practice. So just a ton of experience in that room. Again, we want to remind everybody we're going to be breaking down our portal rankings. We did the first 5. Again, not throwing shade at those guys, but it was kind of obvious. But now we start moving in to our list, and we're going to be doing bonus pods for our portal breakdown. So we won't be doing them on this show. Actually, we'll be doing the bonus pods, and we're going to rank everybody all the way from 1 to 39. So looking forward to that. You and I have already done our list. They are not the same, by the way. So for everybody out there, then we'll discuss that. But just stay tuned. Make sure you follow us for that, because we're gonna be pushing that out over the next few weeks. All right, basketball making a move. Faith, looks like Stephen Pearl understands, and I'm not saying the urgency, but maybe him going to administration and just the way things are playing out with budgets and all, you got to take this serious. And so this position could be interesting.
Yeah, Stephen Pearl is looking to hire a dedicated general manager before the portal window
Right.
opens April 7th. Interesting.
Here's the deal. I mean, I hate to say this, and I'm not saying that Auburn dropped the ball here. I know the GM that was under Bruce is now on the floor assistant with Steven. So, did you not think you needed to put somebody else back in that position? I mean, you just, in this day and age of, hey, every year counts. I mean, you can't take a year off of anything. You can't, like, did you think, oh, we'll just combo this thing and we'll do it in our spare time, which nobody has? So now Auburn and Stephen Pearl's like, hey, we got to have somebody that does this full time and can go out and I think it's a great move if you get it done. And if you want to keep your program, I say this all the time, and I hope that nobody takes this the wrong way. Okay. I'm really trying to give a disclaimer here. I'm not sounding like I'm a spoiled brat, but Auburn has positioned itself as a top basketball program. Why the hell would you want to go back to the days prior to 2018? Somebody just asked me that. I'm so tired of Auburn fans coming up and saying, well, we just need to pump the brakes a little bit. And we just need to, like, I'm fine with that. I'm not saying you're going to go to the Final Four every year, but why in the world would you not expect or do the things that you need to do to keep your program at the top of the heap? I mean, it's one of those situations where, are you putting full effort in to this basketball program? Are you giving the full allotment of assets and resources for your program to be a top-ranked program? Or are you okay with every 3 or 4 or 5 years floating around, kind of like you used to do? Maybe it was a lot longer than that in the past. It was every 10 or 12 years you'd get a team that was worth a darn at Auburn, and then you would go back to being completely terrible for almost a decade. I'm not saying we're going back to those days, but this should be a pressure job now. Auburn's proven. Like, how many other programs in this country have been to 2 Final Fours in the span that Auburn's had? Auburn has proven it can do it. So don't be content with going, hey, well, we did it. And so
don't take 2 steps back after you've made long strides to get to where you are. And that's why you question why that spot was not filled after you moved him before down to the floor. And
right. Why was there not a plan in place there?
Yeah.
And so, and look, you and I both have said this. It's not about what's going on right now this season for Stephen. It's what's going to happen when the season's over, when this portal window opens. How many players, what caliber player can he get to come in here and replenish this roster? Because you don't know how many you're going to lose right now.
Especially because of how important the portal is in basketball year to year. And look at this year's team, how everyone except Tahad is brand new coming in here. Why do you not think that is a position that needs to be filled immediately once moving people around?
I mean, I just feel like it takes a lot of effort and time to build something up, but it doesn't take long for it to fall apart. I mean, seriously, it can be gone if you don't put forth the same amount of effort. Just because you've done it doesn't mean, oh, well, that's a given. Everybody's going to flock to your program because you made a Final Four. Like, it's a bunch of factors that determine whether guys want to come play for you or not.
Bama Willie saying that a lot of schools don't have a dedicated GM and that maybe they didn't need one until now, but you had with your
Somebody in there.
father there, you had somebody in place and a you had a system that was working for them, and that's kind of where the questioning maybe is coming from of, okay, it was obviously working before. What happened for you to say, "All right, we don't need that anymore?"
Or maybe it was maybe it was they felt good about the situation and didn't think maybe it was as important, but now they're finding out, hey, look, we gotta change. We gotta do more there. Ed said, do you believe the AU fan base will be patient with Golish after spending $30 million on the roster? Because the beat writers nor the fan base have been patient with Stephen Pearl. They have blasted him, and basketball certainly haven't gotten the money ninth in the SEC. I'll say this, Ed. Alex Golish hasn't. Yeah, we'll see what year one is. I think it's all about the feel of the program and the direction of the program. I'm not saying that there's been some unfair criticism of Stephen Pearl when he hasn't even finished his first season. I agree with you on that. But I'll also say that as the season moves along and you monitor things and you see how things are playing out, there's not a very good vibe to this basketball team right now. There's not a very good vibe when it comes to chemistry. I'm not questioning effort. I had not questioned effort at all until maybe the last couple of games where a lot of us have questioned defensive effort. Now, again, you can say they're tired. You can say all this junk. Now, being tired with 19 minutes to go in the first half, I ain't buying that. Okay, I'm talking about how Auburn starts games and how you take a team that won the game with Kentucky, and then you go 2 days later or 3 days later that looks completely disinterested and doesn't look like and you lose a game that you should have gone on the road and won in a daggum empty dump with nobody there, and all the momentum should have been on your side, and you, which still have aspirations to make a tournament, and you're playing a team that has no chance of making a tournament, and they look like they wanted it more than you. And how I just don't understand. That's the part I think that's bringing in the questions from the fan base, and they're a little skittish right now on where this program's going to go. They're wanting this program to stay where it's been for the last 7-8 years. They don't want it to fall off. But with that, again, taking over for your dad, who happens to be the best coach in Auburn history, there's going to be added pressure, and everything's going to be scrutinized and compared, whether that's right or wrong. And we're a tip in away. Let me just remind everybody, a tip in from Elijah Freeman, and I'm glad he tipped it in, away from being on a 7-game losing streak. So there weren't many losing streaks of 7 games plus or 6 games plus with Bruce Pearl. And so that's kind of where, again, rightfully or wrongfully, the criticism comes from people. And I'm telling you, I'm not criticizing Stephen Pearl right now. I'm going to wait to see how the thing plays out in the offseason, because if he can go out and get his guys, he inherited this team. He had something to do with getting this team, right, Faith? He brought this team in with his dad and these other coaches. But next year will be his team, fully 100% his guys.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, is that this is 2 completely different situations. Alex Golesh was thrown into the fire at a very, interesting time of the transfer portal about to start, and then also high school recruiting, and everything was just really quick for him.
Yes.
But the Stephen Pearl situation, he inherited a team right before practices were starting and everything like that. So it's a very different situation, and it's difficult for Stephen in the sense that it isn't the team that he necessarily did all himself. And it's not the same as Alex Golesh having this time to go out and get these guys. So that's this
Yep.
offseason being the most important thing for Stephen Pearl. Obviously, this year is important, this season, because you want to see how things are being run. You want to see how he is as a coach and his personality as a head coach. But the difference of you can't control obviously what all the players are doing. And so he's not the one that went and got these players. I said it before, I'll say it again. Bruce Pearl liked to go out and get guys that he felt were a working project for him. That is not the same kind of recruiting and the same kind of guys that Stephen Pearl wants to go in and get. He doesn't want to have all that back end and the discipline and
Right.
all that kind of stuff that Bruce Pearl liked to do in creating young men and young basketball players. Very different.
I totally agree. And everybody's different. Hey, look, my son has a different personality than me. If he were to take this job over for me, he's my blood, but it don't mean he's going to come on here and say the things or believe even the same things that I believe. Here's the thing. Here's 2 points to look at. There are holes on this team. We knew that. So he's had to adapt to that. There's been deficiencies on this team. There's been some disappointments in guys you felt like were going to be depth pieces that have not translated for whatever reason. Okay. The second part of this, in the offseason, whoever chooses to stay that doesn't get in the portal or leave, whoever chooses to stay, that's going to send a message that, hey, I want to be here. So that will be a Stephen Pearl guy. And then whoever Stephen Pearl goes out and gets, obviously will be a Stephen Pearl guy. This will truly be his team next year. I'm not saying this isn't his team this year, but he didn't have full autonomy and say on who came in and how things were. And then added a third caveat to this thing. These players came here play for Bruce Pearl, not Stephen. So you don't think there was a tad bit of disappointment when Bruce Pearl stepped away? They wanted to play for a legend. Same thing with Alabama football. When Nick Saban walked into that weight room and told them, hey, okay, I'm stepping away. You don't think something, and a bunch of them got in the portal because they're like, well, crap, man, I didn't come here to play for anybody else. But I came to Alabama to play for that guy, and he's leaving. So now it's not the same place anymore. So you got to take steps back and breathe. And you even asked Elijah Freeman that question in your sit-down interview with him, Faith, and he admitted, he said, yeah, it was, to be honest, it was a little disappointing, but I got over it. And he said, I like Stephen, and I stayed because I believed in the program. So the initial shock of that has to wear off, but I'm not saying that there's not some hangover to that in the back of some of those guys' mind that are saying, man, yeah, I love it here, but man, I really want to play for Bruce, and I like Stephen, but he ain't his dad. I mean, it's just that's just human nature to have all those thoughts run through your mind.
I was going to say it's the same thing in life anywhere. If some change happens to you in the middle of nowhere, it's, well, dang, I wonder if this would be happening if this were to have been different. And I mean, I know you can't do that in life because you're setting yourself up for disappointment every single time. If you go back and think, if this would have happened, would I still be here? But it is human nature. And I could see how some of these guys are just digging themselves mentally in a hole because they're
Yep.
like, dang, this wouldn't have happened if, Bruce was still here. This wouldn't be the situation. And that's on you, on whether or not you mentally want to get out of that hole. And I think that is what maybe you're starting to see in the poor effort that's been given and the lack of enthusiasm and energy from some of these guys. Is I think some of that is starting to creep in, and guess what? No one's in control of that except them. And so you
Yeah.
can't do anything about it. Stephen Pearl can't do anything about it.
And again, maybe Stephen Pearl sitting here saying, look, I can scream and yell and act a fool over here, but that's not going to help. That these guys already have their mind made up. They are who they are at this point in the season. Let's just see how much we can get out of this team this year and how far we can go. And then we'll evaluate everything then. I think that's a fair assessment. I really do for everybody involved. And Ed brings up a good point. Will Auburn give the same to Stephen that they've given to Golish to be successful? And They should, because Auburn basketball, thank God we've had Auburn basketball over the last several years, because the football program has been terrible and there's no other way to spin it. And so baseball's been great too. So basketball and baseball, softball's on the climb back now. I mean, they're off to a great start. But the two consistent programs in Auburn have been the basketball and the baseball program. I mean, just look at postseason, look at accomplishments, look at what they've achieved. Nobody else has really hung any banners or put any trophies in a case.
But also look at the consistency in those coaches throughout the time.
Bingo.
You can throw golf in there too.
Yes, absolutely. I'm thinking the big three.
I know.
But yeah, we could talk about gymnastics. Gymnastics has been outstanding. But we're talking maybe from a big three. Now, nobody's done better than golf. Heck no. Coach Kleiner, Jackson Coyven, I mean, all those guys have been phenomenal. I mean, won national championship. What else? You can't get any better than that. But of the big three, the revenue generating programs, football being the biggest, and then basketball, then baseball, it's been basketball and baseball. And it's just what you said. They had consistent, stable pieces at the top as their head coach. Period. So, and then think about it now that Bruce retired, and he did retire because he could have coached for another 20 years if he wanted to at Auburn. But he retired. Butch Thompson is the elder statesman down there. We've had turnover in softball. We've had turnover in basketball now. Had 1,800 turnover in football. Like, all of this stuff, it's just been, like you say, ring around the rosy in coaches. So the programs that have had the consistency have obviously been the best in the establishment. So give the man a chance. That's what we've all said. See what he can do. You can't. And look, if this team makes a tournament this year, that's a feather in his cap. I'll just say it. No matter what the streak is, you do have some quality wins on this resume. That's going to be what gets you over the top. But like Jeff said, if we were to lose one of these next two at home, man, it really puts a stain on your resume. And it starts tomorrow with Ole Miss.
It does. We'll break that down more at lunch, talk about that game.
Yep. And so we'll talk about a couple more of our partners, and we will get out here. And again, we do want you to join us today at Lake Martin Pizza for lunch. Alabama's premier golf cart superstore, The Cart Source. Easy Go, Cushman, Yamaha, Club Car. They got every single thing that you're looking for in a golf cart, customized. Man, they have been on a heater since we were there, Faith. I mean, it's every day 4 or 5 more that are sold. I bet he sold 15 to 20 golf carts in the last week, and that is moving them out over there. And they were swamped while we were down there. People coming in and out the whole time. So check out the golf cart. Check out the Cart Source in Dayville, right there off of Highway 280. They've got everything that you possibly would want.
Russell Medical Center on Highway 280 as well. Make sure that is going to be the place you go if there's anything wrong with you. Brett, I know that you thought you were about to drive yourself there yesterday.
I was.
But Russell Medical Center is the place for you to go. They have some of the best doctors and just some of the best things there that you can really take, not take for granted, but use to your own benefits. And today's the last day of the Heart Month, Happy Healthy Heart Month that they've been doing, where they have had all of the scans and stuff up for you to be able to do. I did them. It was great. Got my results back very quickly. And I think it's so important. They're going to be incorporating a lot more things like that, that's going to be accessible to everybody. So if you don't want to drive all the way up to Birmingham or Atlanta, go to Russell Medical Center in Alexander City. Best place for you to go.
Absolutely. And Alex City Marine, also located on Highway 280, sales, service, and storage, the best in the business. Blackfin center consoles, Landau pontoons, whatever it is that you're looking for. I talked to Lee yesterday, and man, they're just getting after it over there. all powered by Suzuki, Mercury, Honda, the best motors in the business. Check out Alex City Marine. It's going to be, hey, plug days this weekend, by the way. They're going to start filling up the lake this weekend. So, you know what? That means the heck with that groundhog. Plug day is the official day. That's when you know spring's around the corner and lake season's here. That's tomorrow, actually, plug day. So make sure you have your boat lined up so you can take advantage of the lake. So, all right, so we got a lot going on today. We will be at Lake Martin Pizza in Dayville, there on Highway 49. First 5 that come up to us, Faith, lunch is on us.
Your lunch, the lunch special.
So, I need to be running, Jeff, in Auburn tomorrow, 1,000%. So,
Eagle Fest.
yeah, the Eagle Fest. Yes, I need to be running for sure. I'm not though, but I could use it for sure. So, the weather up this way is not good. I mean, we had rain all night last night. Storms came through, and it's been raining. It's not raining here anymore, but it's terrible. So
yeah, it's not good here in Auburn. So I think they'll make it though. They've got a really good draining system, and it's not supposed to rain anymore after.
Yes, we got the Nebraskas. We'll talk all that. We got a lot more. We didn't get to half of what we wanted to talk about this morning. So you just have to tune us in at lunch for the noon show at Lake Martin Pizza. Again, I want to thank Glenda Mitchell, attorney at law, her law firm. Hey, we're partnered with the best. What can we say when it comes to car accidents? And we hope none of you are in a car accident. I can safely say that I haven't even told you this yet, Faith. My daughter and her friend and a mom were very close to being in a car accident yesterday, like really close to being in a car accident yesterday. And so we're thankful for that. And so it crossed my mind, like literally Glenda Mitchell, the phone was right there. And so I was like, hey, need to call Glenda if something bad were to happen. But if you are somebody in your family, we hope none of you ever are in a traffic accident. If you are, you need to call Glenda Mitchell. She comes to you, gives you her personal cell phone. She's just an awesome person, Faith.
Yeah, she's great. So really happy to have her on board.
Absolutely. So, yeah, happy Friday to you, Bama Pride out there. Yeah, Russell Forest run this weekend too. So there's a lot going on. It's getting time to spring, man. People are tired of being cooped up. They're ready to get outside, and we're the same way too. So, hey, look, Faith, I'll let you send us out.
Hope everyone has the best day and best weekend.
Be safe out there. It's a little bit gloomy out there. Be careful. Be nice to people. Say something good. You never know when that means something to somebody, and they need to hear that. So, again, we appreciate all of you that tune in every day, and we'll see you at lunch for more of the Auburn Blitz.